I like to focus on general synthesis ideas and patching tricks rather than specific modules. But quite some people asked me to make a list of my favorites, and I thought the end of the year would be a great time for this. However, it wasn't that easy. A lot of my favorites are workhorse modules like VCAs or simple envelopes I could recommend, but similar modules would do the job just as well. And on the other hand, it's easy to focus on whatever is new to me or fits my latest interest, while I think that's not so valuable for you. So for this list, I focus on modules I feel do something different or surprised me, but are also modules I've been using for a long time. Of course, I also love to hear about your favorite modules, so let me know about them in the comments. But now, let's dive right in. First up is the Chaos Devices Sadar, a module they called a quad envelope generator, but really is a quad signal generator I look at as a large pile of inspirational CV signals to draw from. The shape of each signal can be selected from a massive list of interesting options, and each of the shapes can be morphed and customized manually or with CV. The module changed how I think about modulation and the movement I have easy access to in my patches. I don't think anymore of just classic envelope shapes. I have this bucket of unique movement I can use. For example, this double peak envelope that creates a slapback delay-like sound when modulating a filter in VCA. Here, a creative shape is used with a gate and custom hold point. But each signal can also be triggered, repeat a fixed number of times, trigger another signal, or looped and used as an LFO with unique shapes. So in a small setup like this, it takes care of all modulation. I made a full video about the module and mentioned it in a video about my favorite envelope generators you can watch here if you'd like to learn more. This is the Erica Synth's black low-pass filter, an absolute wolf in sheep's clothes. It seems like a basic filter, but over time this became an absolute favorite. To explain that, I have to mention I'm not a huge fan of most resonant sounds in filters. Especially adjectives like wet, zappy, croaky or squeaky don't get me excited. I like filters that offer interesting sound design options, and that's what this filter does. The magic lies in this little switch. I don't know what the people over at Erica Synths put in their drive circuits, but they really sound amazing. The input level is crucial. Set to about 9, the input signal is relatively clean. But pushing the input beyond that starts to drive the filter input, adding saturation. You can push that pretty far if you like. Higher input levels mean there is less headroom for resonant feedback, so when the drive is up, increasing the resonance adds to the drive and distortion in the sound. Being able to push a sound with a smooth transition from simple and clean to fat, saturated and distorted is very powerful for performances and evolving tracks. I like this filter so much, it follows me around in different cases and setups. I keep swapping it so much, I think I just need to buy another one or maybe two. If you'd like to hear more from it, have a look at these videos about envelopes I made. Of course, the module I designed with ADAC is one of my favorites as well, the random Bezier waves. In my regular videos, I often limit my patches to basic ingredients, but in my own sounds I use it literally in every patch. The module creates 2 independent smooth random waves and was designed because I want easy access to subtle instability, organic textures and movement in my sounds, which for me is what modular is all about. Simple flowing waves are great for things like subtle oscillator slop and interesting filter movement and fluctuations. Each wave offers control over frequency, level, offset and shape, and has CV inputs for frequency and level, with internal cross normalization. That makes it easy to dial in dynamic lively signals that keep voices and sounds interesting for a long time. Beside the two main outputs, there are inverted waves, average and inverted average waves, and two logic outputs. So the module is great to inject a wide set of randomness into your patch and be the heart of generative setups. I made 2 videos covering the module with a lot of patch ideas in depth if you'd like to learn more. This is the A2V project CDVCA, which stands for Class D VCA. I'm not going to explain that and just say I love this module as a very compact, interesting blend of dirty VCA, filter, low pass gate, bit crusher, distortion, sound mangler kind of tool. Here's a simple example used in my performance case. I just feed it a simple saw wave and send an envelope to both the VCA and filter part, creating a very compact low pass gate-like voice. Tweaking the envelope to filter modulation depth and drive creates a range of more traditional sounds. But pulling the frequency of the VCA down opens a world of distortion and metallic options. It helps to think of the module as a VCA with drive that can sort of shred the sound to bits with a certain frequency, and then allows you to tame that sound again with a simple low-pass filter. CV inputs for all those features add even more options to inject interesting dynamics to a sound. It's another module that makes it easy to push a sound into an evolving story. The module is great for all kinds of metallic techno sounds, shines as a compact experimental sound design tool, and is also fun as an audio processor. I made a full video about the module with more patch examples you can find here. Next up is the Squarp Instruments Rample, a powerful quad sample player with all the right features. My interest in this is very performance related. The quad sample player gives me easy access to drums, chords, background sounds and ambient noises, making it easy to use the modular like a flexible little orchestra in a box. It has 4 sample players with individual trigger inputs and audio outputs, as well as a mix out and 4 customizable CV inputs. There are 2 main features that make this module stand out to me. The first is the possibility to make banks with multiple samples for each channel and select the behavior when it's triggered. For example, you can load a channel with head samples that sound slightly different and play one at random every time it triggers. Here, that trick adds a lot of sonic variation to a simple 4-voice drum kit. But you can also prepare samples in a specific order and cycle through them. Another great feature are these performance controls. You can select things like pitch, level or sample length and dial in that setting for each channel. My favorite is the DJ style filter. It adds a lot of performance control over something like a quad drum setup. But I also often use it like a quad tape loop station for textures and background sounds. I didn't do a specific video about the module, but cover some features in this video about drums. This is the Synth's Black Wavetable oscillator, offering a set of single-axis wavetables. There are two reasons this module stands out to me. One, I feel all the wavetables are chosen very well. There's no complicated 3D stuff, which to me means I can actually find and use specific sounds again and again, and they all sound good. Another major feature is the sub-octave output. There's this square wave sub, which many modules have, but you can also use a 1 or 2 octave sub that uses the same wavetable as the main out. Mixing those signals together sounds massive. The module pairs extremely well with the black low-pass filter I mentioned earlier. I used them together in a small Synth voice put together for a video about envelopes. But I love the system so much, I kept it together ever since and use it as a voice all the time. I keep this short because unfortunately this module is no longer in production. If you'd like to learn more though, you can watch this slightly older video. Next up is Archon from Maelstrom, a bit more complex utility module. I won't go over all the features in detail, but it's the kind of module I recommend to people who like the modular to be an interesting, creative voltage exploration lab. I use it all the time for basic utilities because it can do simple things like mix voltages, generate offset, attenuate and invert. However, it can also be used to clip, distort and wave shape. There's also a polarizing section with a bipolar VCA, so you can use positive voltages to amplify a signal and negative voltage to amplify an inverted version of that signal. This section also has a unique curvature control which adds additional wave shaping to the setup. So the module can easily be used as a regular VCA or polarizer, but mainly the clever layout just invites experimentation. I often just plug in modulation sources and see where I can push those signals. I made a full video about the module here if you'd like to learn more. This is a big one, the ADAC 603 triple bandpass filter. This is really more of a sound shaping station. It holds 3 bandpass filters with a lot of gain, different modes, feedback and mix outputs. It's one of my favorites because the bandpass filters can also easily be set up and used like regular low or high pass filters, and they sound great. An interesting feature with bandpass filters is that you can choose to modulate the frequency, moving the bandpass up with resonant point, or you can modulate the bandwidth, which can create effect without moving the resonant point. I often use envelope modulation to the width and the random voltage to the resonant frequency. But that's just a single filter. This setup is great to experiment with filter combos in series, for example low pass into band pass. It's also great for stereo setups. And on top of that, it's a lot of fun as an end-of-chain sound shaping tool. More like you would use a fixed filter bank, except it's not fixed and you have tons of CV inputs and resonant options. Here, a drone voice is sent through the 3 filters with a couple of random voltages from the Bezier waves. Again, there's a full video about the module if you'd like to learn more. This is the Glnds Twin Waves. It's my favorite flexible workhorse oscillator. It's digital but holds 2 independent oscillators, and each can also function as an LFO, random voltage generator and noise source. The oscillator features a set of algorithms that don't focus on crazy digital tricks and wavetables, but are inspired by analog sounds like chimes with harmonics, detuned saw waves, and self-sync waves. Because it's so flexible, it plays a big role in the compact 2-voice system I use on the channel a lot. But it's also a go-to in my performance case, giving easy access to a lot of different sounds and characters in a small space, often used as the source of two voices. But the option to use a side as an LFO, random voltage or interesting noise source adds even more flexibility. I made a full video about the module a while ago if you'd like to learn more. If you have been watching the channel for some time, this is no surprise. The Happy Nerding 3 times Mia. It's a simple utility module that offers 3 channels that can each work like a 2-to-1 mixer. That alone is something I use all the time to combine CV signals to modules with a single input. But the module can also invert inputs and generate offset. I'll keep this short because I mention this module a lot, and to be clear, the functions on their own are nothing other modules can't do. I just think the dual pots are great and the module offers a great price to size, mixing and attenuation power. Being able to mix audio and CV, create interesting signal routing, set up things like effect sends and so on are the things that tie a case together into a functional system. I use it a lot in my basic synthesis case, but it also plays a crucial part in the small setup. It's another module I'd like to own multiple of for sure. And finally we have Droid from their Mynmytar machine. I put this last because I think it's rather specific, and to be completely fair, it's not really a single module either. But it is one of my favorites and fits the criteria I used for this list so well. It changed how I patch, use and interact with my module. It's not in all my videos because I want things to be easy to follow with recognizable functions, but I enjoy it a lot and keep coming back to it. It's way too deep to explain this in a little section, but in short, there is one crucial master module here with 8 in and 8 outputs. You can use free software to create a digital patch for the master, selecting and customizing features from a huge list of functions. You can set up, combine and customize things like sequencers, modulation sources, logic, quantizers, MIDI functions and everything else you can do with CV. Most other modules are controllers. These are all optional. There are many different variations available and they allow you to tweak what's happening inside the master module. Droid is great as a custom master control and sequencer for improvised performances. I used it a lot in this small techno case, as well as a larger melodic setup. But it's also a module I keep coming back to when I come across modules that offer CV features I don't have. Big chance I can just recreate that feature on Droid and have fun exploring it. The great thing is that it never gets old. I keep tweaking what it does and how I use it. I made 2 videos about Droid if you'd like to learn more about it. I'm interested to hear about your favorite modules in the comments. And as always, smash that like, subscribe and bell button if you want to see more module content from me. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching and see you next time.